You're watching the Using Technology Better Show.
Practical tech tips for teachers.
Hello there and welcome back to the Using Technology Better Show. I'm Samantha Garrett from Using Technology Better, and joining me today live on the show are my colleagues Adrian and Lara. Hello.
Hey Sam.
G'day Sam. How you doing?
Thanks for joining me, guys. So here at UTB for March, we have been inspired by International Ideas Month. So today we've got a show that is chock-a-block full of ideas to help you increase and embrace creativity and innovation in your classroom. But before we dive too deep into these ideas, we wanted to explore a little bit more about what this term creativity actually means, because it tends to be one of those things that people think, I'm either creative or I'm not creative. So Adrian, Lara, do you guys have any thoughts on this you wanted to share?
Yeah, look, thanks Sam. That's fantastic for that kind of intro. Look, I'm a maths teacher and drama teacher together, and some people think, well, golly, you can't have those two because they never mix. It's like oil and water. But when I think of creativity, I really think about using the skills and talents that you've got to think about something slightly differently or carry something out in a way that is a little bit left of centre compared to what you would normally do. So Lara, have you got like a definition that you kind of use for creativity?
Yeah, I guess for me, creativity, and you're right, like traditionally we do think about artsy people and not artsy people, but really creativity is about solving problems, being having new ideas or building off existing ideas to develop something new. So to me, it's about having curiosity, interest and passion, and then problem solving to come up with something new. Because if you think about creativity in maths, Adrian, you are trying to solve a problem and find different ways of doing it and breaking things apart in different ways to put them back together. So to me, that's kind of what creativity is. I've got a bit of a quote here, Sam. Would now be a good time to drop a quote in?
Oh, we love a good quote here. I'm keen to hear it.
Awesome. So this quote's from Osho, and I think I might have seen it on your Learn Bites podcast not that long ago too. So to be creative means to be in love with life. You can be creative only if you love life enough that you want to enhance its beauty. You want to bring a little more music to it and a little more poetry to it and a little more dance to it.
That is such a cool little quote, isn't it? That's brilliant. Now, it kind of ties in a little bit, just really like very, not really, but kind of. I'm going to segue into it anyway. I was reading a school's philosophy statement yesterday, and they were saying, we want our students to be entrepreneurial problem solvers. And I thought that's a really nice way of framing up. We want our kids to be creative, look at stuff from a different point of view, but come up with ways of exploring the world in their way that's personalised to them, but with their entrepreneurial headset. So I thought that was a really nice little way of putting it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's a bit like in the New Zealand DT curriculum. I'm sure you've got similar things in the Australian curriculums as well, but one of the key phrases is about being creators, not just consumers in a digital world. So building and adding to the world with confidence, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Now, it's also looking at stuff slightly differently, isn't it, that creative bit? And I heard a quote, 2 days ago, where a person said, if you have a fishing net and you put a hole in it, you actually get less holes. Think about that. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Oh, that's awesome.
That's brilliant. That's a very Adrian thing to come up with. I love it.
Oh, very good. Okay, Sam, well, that's our little take on creativity. Oh, actually, Lara, I've got one more question for you. So in the classroom, how would you get kids to think, because sometimes kids are a bit kind of hesitant to jump and do something that's a little bit outside their comfort zone and be innovative in what they do. So what would you do in the classroom trying to encourage that? One tip.
Only one. I think that is where you need to, as a teacher, provide really open learning opportunities where there's no right or wrong, where there's an ability for students to do things in multiple different ways, and you don't have, as a teacher, a set outcome in your mind of what that will be, and you can celebrate the process of what the kids do on their journey to create, whether that's a piece of writing, whether that's a piece of music, or whether it's actually a form of visual art. As long as they have the ability to take their different routes, that's really great. If you were allowing me more than one thing to say,
go for it.
Let's face
go
it.
for it. Go two.
There's some really cool activities online to foster and encourage creativity and questions to get them to think. So even bringing in an object as simple as a battery and asking your students to talk about what else could this be? Like, what are some other creative uses for this other than what it just is? And you could even turn that into a bit of a competition whereby you get all your kids to write them down and they get points for anything unique to them. Like no one else in the class has suggested the same sort of thing. Like this could be, a paperweight on your desk or something like that. If nobody else says it, you get a point.
Oh, that's superb. That's a great idea. Oh, okay, I'm going to write that down on a piece of paper so I remember it. There you go.
And you know what's funny? I just recall, Adrian, I don't know if you do, that Lara actually did that activity with us as a team as a little bit of a team building creativity exercise. It's all coming back to me now. And it was really, really interesting just hearing about people's responses at the end of all the ideas we came up with. And the key word out of your discussion too, guys, that really resonated with me was curiosity. It's kind of that other C word from creativity. Like the two, I think the relationship between the two is so powerful. So on that note, Adrian, I know you've been chatting to other members of the team about how they see creativity and for some ideas for bringing creativity and innovation into the classroom. So I think you had a little bit of a chat with Paul recently, is that right?
Yeah, so Paul and I jumped on a call and had a bit of a chat a little bit about creativity and that whole idea of augmented reality and how you can use that in the classroom for better learning. So let's jump into that little interview now and see what Paul says. G'day Paul, thanks for joining us today. Look, the question I had for you really is, we've got this AR thing propping up in the world and we've got innovation and creativity. So how do they all blend in the classroom to create really good learning opportunities for our kids?
Yeah, look, Adrian, it's a really great question. I think AR has been a bit of a slow burn over the last couple of years. And I think one of the reasons for that is that AR has been seen as a bit of an add-on, a bit of a cool factor, but doesn't have really strong, authentic links with learning or the curriculum. So what we're starting to see emerge now is AR being used in those purposeful ways. So we kind of look at it from two aspects. We've got the AR that I can place, for example, the Mars rover, the Perseverance, right in my living room, and I can see the scale of it in 3 dimensions. Because we actually see as human beings in 3 dimensions, so it's actually good to actually start viewing objects in 3D. So as a consumer, I can actually look at a resource like the Mars rover and I can walk around it, explore it, walk towards it, and it has that spatial element. So that's really exciting. And I think that offers opportunities for the classroom to view resources in a totally more authentic and purposeful manner. Second, in a second way.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah.
So that's really good, Adrian, that we can actually view that content in a more engaging or authentic way. And then secondly, we can actually get our students and our teachers to start creating their own AR. And that offers, I think, even more authentic connections with the curriculum and learning. So to give you a bit of an example, Adrian, we've got our science and maths teachers that are starting to build science simulations or maths simulations that allow students to experience it in augmented reality. So, for example, if I'm exploring physics and trajectory and looking at how force is applied and the impact of different forces on an object, our students and teachers are now creating that in, for example, apps like Reality Composer, and then being able to share with their students that experience. So I could layer, for example, an Angry Birds type game on my desk in my classroom or at home on my dining room, and I could tap on that object and I can see the reactions of the objects and the collisions.
Wow. So really, when we used to do some really cool stuff in science back in the day where you could do things that we're not allowed to do now because of safety, you could create them in that AR world so the kids still have that experience and see how those things react and move without the danger of being crushed by a really heavy object.
Absolutely. So that health and safety aspect, Adrian, gets taken away because what we know is AR is actually layering digital content on the real world. And I think if you think about it, like VR is where we're totally separated from the real world. It's kind of, we're totally immersed in just the digital. AR provides creativity where we can connect artwork and sculptures and things like that to the real world, in front of the Sydney Opera House, in front of the Twin Towers, all of those different aspects that we can start to explore, which is exciting.
That's fantastic. Well, Paul, thank you so much for taking time out of your day today. That's just brilliant. It's kind of opened my eyes a little bit. I'm going to have to spend some time with you learning how to build some of those things, because I think for the classroom, it's going to add another layer of learning for our kids to make them engage in the curriculum, but also to have a deeper understanding of the things they're studying. So thanks so much for your time.
Great talking with you, Adrian.
Thanks for that, Adrian. That's always a great chat between you and Paul. I always love his ideas, and he's definitely the AR king here at UTB. So before we wrap up, we've just got one other little thing we want to showcase to you today. So one of our other lovely colleagues, Donna from New Zealand, many of you know Donna, she has actually done a little bit of a walkthrough of a wonderful free resource from Google that can help you actually inspire creativity in the classroom through learner engagement. So let's take a look at that now.
Thanks, Sam. I'm here on Google's Inspire Creativity Through Learner Engagement course. We'll pop the link to this into the notes, so don't worry about how you can navigate here. We'll give you the quick link to that. But this is a course designed by Google or offered by Google that is focused on creativity. So a really awesome place for you to come and explore if you're using Google Workspace for education tools with your learners. Up the top in the right-hand corner here, you can log in. And as you log in, it shows you that the purpose of logging in is to track and receive credit for the content that you consume. And you can just click and sign in with Google, and whatever account you choose, it's going to sign in. Now, you don't have to sign in, but totally recommend that you do so that you can come back and track what you have and haven't looked at. You can see that I passed this course last year. Down here, it shows you what the different modules are within the course, and it gives you just a guideline as to how long you think it might take to complete those courses. So you can see that they're not huge. They're not going to take a lot of time out of your day to dive into, but there is totally a world of amazing creativity ideas within these. Looking at how you can tap into being creative, how you can increase student engagement, thinking about project-based learning, looking at AI possibilities, and thinking about social and emotional learning. Let's just take a little dive into the creativity tool section. Each of the modules gives you an overview, gives you a kind of like a big picture of what you're going to find within this module. It shows you what you're going to learn, and then you could go through and you can dive into it. Things like exploring Google's arts and culture, huge amount of creativity in there, and along the way some really helpful resources that you can pick up and use straight into your classroom, what every teacher loves. As we come down further, it gives you tips. How else could we use it? We can animate an object, we could create our own artwork, we could create a poster. Gives you some links to different places. So if we click use Google Drawings, it's going to take me straight into a Google Drawing, and we can start working with our students there. If you log in, it gives you spaces to jot down your responses, so you can pop your thoughts in, come back to them, and just carry on through the course. So just a really awesome place to have a look. This is one of my favorites, the Music Song Lab, where students can create their own music really simply and easily. Just lots of really, really cool ideas. And the course gives you possible classroom applications. So not only is this a really cool creative idea, but how can I actually integrate it into what I'm doing with my learners? So this is the Google's creativity course. Check out the link below. Have a look through at all the little goodies. Even if you're not using Google Workspace for education, you might find that there are some really cool creative ideas that you could use in your classroom as well. So if you haven't seen it before, hopefully that's a little gift for you for exploring creativity with your learners. Any questions around it, of course, don't hesitate to ask us. Back to Sam.
All right, well, there you go, guys. That is it for the show today. Thanks, Adrian. Thanks, Lara. Really appreciate you being part of it.
Great to see you guys. Thanks,
No worries,
Sam.
thanks. It's great to be here, and great to see you, Lara, and great to see you, Sam, again.
Awesome. Alrighty, everyone. So thanks so much for tuning in. We really hope that this show, inspired by International Ideas Month, has given you some ideas that you can take forth into your classroom. Now, any of the links or any of the tools we mentioned in the show today, including that little course from Google Donna walked you through at the end, we'll pop them in the show notes below. If you've not already subscribed to the Using Technology Better YouTube channel, then go ahead and do that as well, so you'll be notified when we have new shows and other new videos. So thanks so much for watching, and we will see you again soon. Bye for now.
See you guys.